What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. So I know it's been a hot minute since I've sat down and done a video like this. So I graduated a little under a month ago, which is very exciting. I will be continuing on to another college this fall. But yeah, I am halfway done with school, which is very exciting. I do have a degree currently. I am looking to get a job in my field and just keep moving on up. Since I have last done a video like this also, as you can tell, I'm in a different place. I am in my brand new apartment, in my new bedroom, which I love so much. It's still kind of rough around the edges, just because it is not the nicest place, but I did what I could to put my little touches on it. Yeah, a lot of different things have happened. I am now the mother to 4 different mice. I'm not going to move the whole camera setup, but maybe I'll insert some footage at the end or something. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, do you have something to say, Cuddles? So yeah, there have been a lot of changes, good and not so good, that have happened in my life recently, but I am glad to be back. I have wanted to come back, but just with stuff having to pertain to my mental health and now working more, I just had to find the time and motivation to do it. But today I woke up and I was just like, I do want to record and get a video out to you guys because I have missed you. I hope you guys have been enjoying my playthrough of The Wolf Among Us. I think I am indeed going to make a gaming channel, just so this can be kind of separate from when I'm playing games. It's kind of topical for today. I know The Sims 4 is coming out with a werewolves game pack, so maybe I will start playing that on there or something. I don't know yet. And finally, I just wanted to let you know that I am pretty active on TikTok. That is more of my personal go-to account. I'm exploring more of my indigenous culture over there. So if you guys are interested in getting to know me a little more personally over there, it is at that_spooky_chick, and you will find me on there. So today we are going to be talking about the Palmyra wolf pack. So a couple months ago I came across a creator called Mr. Ballin, one of my favorite creators, by the way, go check him out, talking about this incident. And it sounded familiar when I was listening, and I realized that I had indeed heard this story before. It was actually on a show called Paranormal Witness, which aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. And I think this is probably my favorite story from this show, just because you don't hear a lot about werewolves and stuff like that. It's always Bigfoot, it's always lake monsters, it's always aliens, but there is something about werewolves. They're such an old, iconic legend, and the telling of them depends on where you are in the world, what culture you're from, and just what time period you're from. But it is absolutely timeless. There have been countless iterations of the werewolf. And I think that's why this story stuck with me. So to preface, I don't know if this is an actual quote-unquote account. I don't know if there were any official reports of this happening. I don't know if Paranormal Witness sought out accounts that could somewhat be plausible, like they had official accounts. I couldn't find too much, or this could just be a pure work of fiction, but either way, it is an amazing story and I love it. So this story apparently took place in 2007. So this story happened to the Martin family. Eric and Shelley Martin, who are married, their daughter Chelsea, and Eric's son, Sean. So before moving to Palmyra, Maine, Eric was actually injured on the job and could not work anymore. And as a result, his wife, Shelley, had to leave her job to care for him. So they had to downsize their lives a lot. They couldn't afford where they were currently living, so Shelley started looking for more affordable options, and they found an old farmhouse in Palmyra, Maine. A little old rustic farmhouse surrounded by dense woods, which was perfect for Eric because Eric was a lifelong hunter. He loved to hunt, his family were all hunters, and it seemed like the perfect place for them. Because Eric was a hunter, he had a large collection of guns, which Shelley was not a fan of. So to appease her when they moved, he and his son Sean built a lockbox for all of his weapons, and they stored them in the barn because Shelley was not comfortable having them in the house. After moving to the farmhouse, Shelley and Eric created this little ritual where every night they would drink coffee on their porch and just talk to each other and look out on their little farmland. They did this nearly every night as long as it wasn't too cold out. One night, as they were on their porch drinking coffee, they noticed some lights coming from the wood line across the field that was across from their house. Shelley automatically had an uneasy feeling about this, and she just described it as something not being right about these lights. Eric and Sean, however, just figured it was probably a poacher and wanted to go confront them and tell them to get off of the property. They went out with flashlights up to the tree line, and as they approached, the lights disappeared. And then they noticed that the woods were unnaturally silent. Eric and Sean decided to split up in order to increase their chances of finding whoever this person was on their property. They turned off their flashlights and went into the woods hoping to find this poacher unaware. Side note, can I just say how dangerous this sounds? If there's an unknown person potentially on your property with what you assume would be a weapon, why would you go in with no lights or anything, or at least something to defend yourself? Because what if you startle them and they shoot, you know? But I digress. As they walked through the woods, they were quickly overcome with a feeling of uneasiness because the woods were just completely silent, and Eric described being overwhelmed with a type of fear he had never felt before in his life. It was overwhelming. Eventually, they met up with each other again. Neither of them had found any evidence of anyone else being in the woods with them, so they went back to the house. A few days or maybe weeks later, Chelsea's boyfriend Nathan came to visit them. They decided to go on a walk in the woods, and they decided to take the family dogs out with them just so they could get a chance to run around. As soon as they entered the woods, the dogs immediately caught onto a scent that seemed to excite them. These were hunting dogs, so I'm assuming they knew how to point, they definitely knew how to track, and they took off running into the woods immediately. When Chelsea and Nathan eventually caught up with them, the dogs were digging around a large hole in the ground. Nathan automatically sensed that this hole wasn't just a random hole in the ground. It was very round, perfectly made, it was dug with care. He wanted to investigate further. Of course he did. But Chelsea just got an unsettling feeling, and she wanted to leave. She wanted to get the dogs out of there, and she just wanted to go back to the house. So thankfully they left. It was Memorial Day weekend, and Shelley and Eric were preparing to go out on the porch and drink coffee together, as they always did. As Shelley was brewing the coffee, she tried to let the dogs out into their pen, but they just refused to go. They were acting weird and skittish and just did not want to go outside. Eric and Shelley then took their coffee outside and sat together. And Eric tried to get comfortable, but no matter what, he could not shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The night was apparently very foggy, and the fog obscured the tree line, but Eric knew that there was something there and they needed to get inside. He tried to explain this to Shelley, but Shelley just did not feel anything at the time, and she wanted to stay out just a little bit longer before they went in. That is until they heard some rustling in the tree line, and they were met with 5 pairs of eyes locked onto them. They rushed inside, locking the door behind them, having no idea what they saw. The size of the creatures they saw were comparable to that of bears. However, with his years of hunting experience, Eric could say with certainty that these were not bears at all. They did not look like bears. Eric wanted to run back outside to the barn and get his guns, but Shelley told him not to go out there. And she ran upstairs to Chelsea's room because she wanted to let her know what was happening. Shelley woke Chelsea up and brought her to the window, carefully hidden under the windowsill so they couldn't look up and see her, where the 5 creatures were arranged in a perfect semicircle right in front of their house, looking at the house like they were waiting for the family to come out. Chelsea was half asleep at this time and didn't really seem bothered by any of this, and apparently went back to bed not really comprehending what she had seen. Her mother remained at the window looking at the creatures when one of them locked eyes with her and stood up on his hind legs. Startled, she got away from the window and started running around the top level of the house, locking all of the windows. She found their 2 hunting dogs cowering in a corner together, and they could obviously tell something was happening. Downstairs, Eric was angry and frustrated and scared. He couldn't get his family out of there, and he didn't know what to do. He had no way of getting to the barn to get his guns to defend themselves, and he didn't think there was any way to get them out of there. When he looked out the window, the beasts were nowhere to be seen. So he devised a plan to run to his truck and pull it around the front of the house so he could quickly get his wife and daughter into the car and to safety. However, when he stepped out onto the porch, he realized that the truck was much farther away than he anticipated, and it was going to be an even longer walk with his back injury. He made his way to the truck as quickly as possible. As he went to unlock the door of the truck, the motion sensing light flicked on, and he was immediately bathed in light. He felt instantly exposed and realized that one of the creatures was just on the outside of the ring of light around him. The creature reached for him, but as soon as its arm met the light, it cowered back and ran away. Eric, very shaken, forgot his plan about pulling the truck around and made his way back to the house, locking the door behind him again. Inside, Shelley was calling the police for help, but they did not take her call seriously. And eventually, they just said, "They're bears, just lock your doors and lock your windows and you'll be fine." So they were very much on their own through this. She went back to Chelsea's room, trying to keep an eye out for the creatures from the top window, but at the moment, they weren't anywhere to be seen. Eric, on the other hand, remained downstairs, stewing over what had just happened and trying to figure out another plan. He kept thinking about what had happened when he was out there and decided that for one reason or another, the creatures did not like the light and he could try to use that to his advantage. Eric realized that he was surrounded by the 5 creatures, and he decided to just book it back inside because he was being hunted. And he wasn't sure if he could get his guns with his back injury and with the speed that these things could obviously move at. Shelley and Eric could hear the beasts on the outside of their house, digging and scratching and trying to find ways to get in. They had no way of escaping their home, the police were not coming to help them, and they had no weapons. They began going through the house one more time to make sure all of the doors and windows were locked, and they started going around finding anything that could be used as a weapon. Shelley went and woke up Chelsea one last time and brought her into the master bedroom where they barricaded themselves. And they laid on the bed in there and just waited all night, hoping that the creatures didn't somehow find a way in. They could hear them on the second level of the house when they eventually jumped up and began walking on the second roof of the house, right by the windows the families were right next to. At times, the creatures came up to the bedroom windows, and the only thing obscuring their line of sight from the family was a thin curtain. The only thing keeping them from inside was a thin pane of glass. They didn't sleep at all that night, but eventually as the sun rose, the beasts ran away, and they didn't hear any scratching or digging anymore. They got up, and Eric called his son Sean, and he came over, and they found gigantic tracks all over the property. Doors and walls were completely scratched up as if they were trying to tunnel their way into the house. And that is the story. It is very eerie and creepy to hear, in my opinion, but I do love it so much because it's out of the ordinary, honestly. Now, if my telling of the story differs a bit from Mr. Ballin or anyone else you hear telling the story, or even the episode that I talked about, Paranormal Witness, that is because there are a couple of different sources. I got my story mainly from the fandom wiki. So he could have gotten it from another place. I'm sure there are other places to look at it. So there could be discrepancies. I could have gotten some facts wrong, or some facts could have totally been, made up. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and go check me out on TikTok. I would be so happy to see you guys go over there. I actually hit over 140 followers over there. So can we get this channel to at least 100? That would be so fun. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.